This is Nick Heeb, the author of the Monday Morning Buzz. Was at the Little Moral Conference tournament this past weekend, and I know many of you read the article on the championship game, but just a little recap on what happened in the other games. In the 7th and 8th place game, we had Lemon and McIntosh square off, and these teams had a combined 1-25 record. Lemon was still searching for their first win of the season, and it looked like for a good majority of the game, it looked like they were going to get their first win of the season and beat McIntosh for 7th place, which would have been huge for Josh Anderson's squad. But it was a game of momentum swings big time, and it was Lemon up big early, and then McIntosh came back and got up by 8. And then just as soon as that happened, Lemon came all the way back. A lot of it due to Bo Beer, number 30 for Lemon, a lot of his three-point shooting and shooting in general that got him back into the game. McIntosh would have probably wrapped up the victory in regulation if Conrad Arnold hadn't have fouled out, and he's a 6-foot center. Really, you'll see him there. He's number 20, and he really played a good game. He really caused a lot of havoc there down low with his length and athleticism, but he fouled out with a couple minutes left to go in the game, and it ended up going in overtime. But in overtime, McIntosh went on a 9-3 run that essentially ended Lemon's hopes of picking up the first victory of the season. So 7th and 8th place game, McIntosh ended up with the W. In the 5th and 6th place game, we had Bison square off against Topa, and these two teams really add depth to the Little Moral Conference, which I've had a lot of faith in as far as strength. I still strongly believe that this district and region, that this Little Moral Conference tournament is a big part of, is one of the strongest you're going to find in the state. I mean, they just depth. They have a lot of talent. Really 1 through 6 there in the conference tournament anyhow. But Bison and Topa has a real back and forth battle early on, going into the third quarter even, and Bison ended up opening it up a little bit there towards the end of the game. But Topa, the only thing that really hurt them was just they were hot early on. They came out, hit a couple outside shots, but they really cooled off. And then Bison, the more fundamental of the two teams, I think is fair to say, they started playing their game, and Daniel Chapman really did a good job for the Cardinals, creating off the dribble, hitting a couple open shots. He only finished with 11 to 12 points on the game, but he really created for his teammates, and it showed in Will Kolb's scoring column. He ended up with 25 on the night, but Will's a good shooter. This Bison team going into next season, this is a real good jumping off point for him as getting 5th place in the Little Moral Conference tournament, and they only lose one senior from this team, and Chapman and Kolb do return, so they might make a little bit noise in the conference tournament next year. In the 3rd and 4th place game, Timberlake and Harding County squared off, and they played earlier this season, and Harding County won 44 to 37, but it was a much different outcome. One of the coldest shooting nights I've seen all season, and Floyd for Harding County really had a tough tournament. He went 2 for 14 Friday night, and then topped that off with I believe a 3 for 18 shooting night, or maybe 4 for 18 shooting night in this video here against Timberlake. And early on, it was a nice fast-paced game. Harding County and Timberlake both came out, hit a lot of shots, but as you can see from this highlight, well, it's really low-light film for Harding County, they just could never get anything to fall for him. Floyd was getting the same looks he gets normally, but as I talked to Coach Wallman, he said the same thing to me. He said that the degree of difficulty of shots that Floyd takes are usually pretty high, but normally that doesn't really bother him. He's just that good of a shooter, but in the tournament he just had a rough go of it. But luckily it's just just a regular season tournament, so come district time, perhaps regions, it's be a big thing to get Floyd in a groove here. Maybe end on a good note here to end the season going into districts. But Timberlake, all around good game. Cody Kraft once again. Harding County was doing everything they could. They were packing the middle against against Timberlake, trying to keep the ball out of Kraft's hands. And for the most part, they did a pretty good job. But at the end of the day, it's just size just really killed Harding County, as they don't really have a big guy to contend with Kraft's size. But Kraft ended up with 24 points, and as Coach Wallman said, it seemed like 44. Bickle for Timberlake had 19 points, and really he was a big part of that victory. Not only because he had 19 points, but just what he brought to the table. He's a good outside shooter, and with Harding County packing that zone as tightly as they were, that really did open up some shots for Timberlake. So it was big that they got the open looks from the outside, and once they had the open looks, they knocked them down. Duffy Dupree for Timberlake, you can't say enough about that kid. He's a good basketball player. He also hit some outside shots. He moved the ball around really well, and Harding County ended up falling 61-46 to Timberlake. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really ever close. And Coach Wallman, you could hear him on the sidelines. He kept his team encouraged and motivated, and you just had to feel like something was going to give for the Ranchers, but it just never did. They just could not get any shot to go down. A lot of shots rimming out, and it's just one of those nights. So Floyd did end up with 16 points, the majority of those points coming at the free throw line. Could not hit an outside shot. Got some good looks, but Jess Feist for Harding County also, he's really started to step up his scoring. He had 11 points. He seems to be a lot more aggressive with the ball, but kind of back to the old drawing board for Coach Wallman and his troops. But like I say, he's got a couple games yet before the postseason begins, and he'll definitely have his team going there. So you'll see, we'll wrap this up with a couple highlights from Faith and Dupree. And as I mentioned earlier, and you can read on the article on our website, Faith ended up winning by 22 points, but it was a real exciting game. As you can see, there's a packed house. Dupree, much in the fashion of Harding County, they really struggled shooting from the outside, shooting all around, but Faith ended up with a victory, and they have a whole lot of momentum going into the postseason. It's Nick Heeb, SDSportsBuzz.com. Thanks for stopping in, and make sure and stay up with our website.